a mission for the organization is to make soccer the preeminent sport in the United States, which sounds ambitious. I know how that sounds, given the popularity of some other sports, and I'm a huge sports nut myself, not just soccer. But this is something we feel like is realistic, looking at the next 20 to 30 years, and looking back at how far the sport has come. You think about it barely being televised in the 80s and 90s, and today commanding massive audiences. I think the USA versus England game at the World Cup on Black Friday was a 20 million sizable audience, and you compare that to something with like college football. I think the most watched college football game this year, regular season, was Michigan versus Ohio State. That was 17 million. So we're starting to command, or not starting, but we are commanding audiences that are mainstream, and we feel like we're really just getting started here, and kind of going into the next phase of making soccer a mainstream sport. Objectives, three simple ones: win, grow the game, grow the fan base. These tie together really nicely. Win is probably what drives everything, right? When we perform on the field and have a product that's successful, then it fuels the other two, right? It grows interest, it grows the popularity and appeal of the sport, and allows us to commercialize and then ultimately reinvest back into the game at the grassroots level, and back towards things that we can do from a fan engagement standpoint. So it's very much a cyclical process when we look at the objectives. And then the role of data and tech, talking about my team on the commercial side and the data and technology practice, there's three things that we're really trying to do at a high level. Number one is improve decision making. That's really talking about the analytics portion of what we do, making sure that everybody's as informed as possible and bringing some science to the madness. And thinking about all of our commercial departments, we've got consumer products that are selling jerseys, we've got events that are selling tickets, marketing, which is creating content, and promoting all of our fan engagement activities, corporate partnerships, where we're looking at our audience and how we can deliver value to strategic partners. There's a lot that goes into making sure that we're equipped with the right data. And we're going to talk a little bit more about that and how Braze and Treasure help us do that. Number two here is creating user connections. We're big believers in network effects. Content's really important in putting that in front of people, but it's not just about getting the eyeballs and the impressions. We want to facilitate fans connecting to one another, and also the teams and the players. And then number three, revenue. If we're doing the first two, then we should be driving incremental revenue that we are reinvesting back into the business and pushing the sport forward. So, Don, I'm just gonna keep going. I'm gonna take them through the kind of the challenges and solutions that we put together. There's three here. We've got our modernized digital experience. When you go back to 2018 and where we were at, we had a front end experience that just wasn't up to snuff. A website that was about a decade old, no mobile app, and then the infrastructure underneath it was even worse, right? People storing data on flat files, or they were just siloed in whatever platform was being used for specific use cases. So we made the decision to make a sizable investment in basically overhauling all of this. And we had some really specific goals in mind. Probably the most important being this 360-degree view of the customer, the so-called golden record, right? And that would allow us to get the business intelligence out that we needed to, lifetime value, and churn rates, and who our customers are, and then be able to use it in a personal way, so that based on who the person is and how they've engaged with us, we can put more relevant messaging in front of them in a way that basically the customer has come to expect across all retail or fan experiences these days. And SSO is a big part of that, making sure we've got the same credentials that you can use across the online store, the website, the mobile app. Those are the three big ones. Challenge three is really more about resourcing. U.S. Soccer is a nonprofit. We're a pretty lean and mean team. And so everything that we wanted to do, needs to be something where it can be or lend automation and allow us to scale and do more without, adding a headcount in a proportional way. So having account management be a little bit more self-service with our loyalty program in terms of your billing information and renewing and seeing all of your account information within the website and the app. And then journey orchestration there, making sure that we can program marketing campaigns in a proactive way, where we're basically scheduling and creating rules that allow customers to fall in and out of segments and receive pre-programmed but differentiated messages in an automated way, right? It's where you can set it up and then it kind of just runs, right? Instead of having to kind of manually change on the fly what everybody is saying. So we ended up calling all this the digital revamp. We launched that in May 2019 with the new website, version 1.0 of the mobile app, and the new version of our loyalty program, which we call Insiders. And I'm going to run through a few examples about how this actually looks and came to life. Before I do that, basically some core principles. These 7 things are basically what we use as a strategic lens when we make decisions. Deciding about how we're going to use our time, money, and resources. Hopefully, the things that we do choose are checking off multiple boxes here. I'm not going to read through all of these, but I will give some examples as we go along. But these are the ones that we feel like allow us to be the most effective. All right, so on network effects, I mentioned us being big believers in that, and connecting fans to one another. And this really comes down to adding more value as more fans and users come into the product, right? And so you think about some of the most successful products out there, where content may not even be the most important thing. And you think about something like a Craigslist, where it's not the most beautiful front end experience. We don't want to be that rough, but the value there comes from there being so many people on the platform, and be able to find the person or the thing that they need. So in the same way, we want to connect fans of soccer together. It's an extremely social sport. We've got a lot of research that tells us that the game grows when people have a social cohort to engage it, to engage with it. And that's where we feel like technology can play a critical role. So we're showing the app here, a couple of experiences. This plays outside of the app too, but these are some really visual ones we wanted to show. Man of the match, being able to go in there and vote, not just for who you think the player of the match should have been, but to be able to see how the rest of the fan base feels, and ultimately what percentage of the vote the player commanded. Our Insiders program, I mentioned, this one really gamifies fandom across the board. A lot of time and energy went into this one to basically reward and incentivize fans for just about anything they can do in terms of engaging. So consuming content, whether it's a written story or a video, buying tickets, attending matches, buying merchandise from our online store. There's a long list of ways in which you can earn points and are valued accordingly. And in addition to being able to just go in and redeem those for perks and experiences like you could do with just about any retail loyalty experience, we've also created a leaderboard that allows you to go in and it gamifies your fandom, right? You can see exactly where you rank relative to every single insider and who's next to you, and allow you to kind of rise up the leaderboard and gain more clout with fans. This is one we really feel like we've got some traction in, and there's a lot more we want to do with that in terms of making it stickier for fans. And then the last one here on the right is our Choose Your 11 feature that we launched for Qatar 2022. We noticed there's a lot of social conversation happening around manager decisions and which 11 players should be starting the match. A lot of this happens on Twitter and Reddit, and we wanted to basically empower more fans to be able to take part in that conversation. So within the app, allowing them to select their 11 and, of course, earn points as part of the Insider program, but also get a shareable, sleek graphic that they can use either on social media or just with their friends via text or on WhatsApp. This is one where the goal was really to amplify the social conversation and less about app downloads or screens within the app, right? This is one where we really just wanted people to get value out of it and take it outside of our application and connect with fans on social. So just a couple of examples there on network effects. Identity, another core principle, and this goes to a lot of what Henry was saying about a CDP really giving you the golden record, right? And this is a view of a treasure data screen where you're looking at the person, everything we know about them, demographics, and some analytics that tell us how likely are they to purchase something, or how likely are they to churn, and everything they've done with us to engage from 0 to present. So not a difficult concept to understand, but really hard to execute on, and one that we're pleased with in terms of how far we've come. Getting into personalization and automation. And this is basically an example of some push marketing that we do with the app, or did with the app, around USA versus England. You can obviously see how it looks on the left on an iPhone, but I think the important thing here is understanding how we can actually personalize using Treasure to push data to Braze. This is a look at the Braze platform on the right and how you configure a message to go out where you're loading media and copy, but you're also defining a segment, basically who should receive this message. And we're getting that segment from Treasure data, right? We're saying, all right, there's a specific tier of insiders, call them our premium insiders tier, who we feel deserves a different type of message that might be more lighthearted or funny in this instance. And once we define that, it gets pushed to Braze, and then you configure the message and hit send. It's basically how the rubber hits the road here. This is kind of a standalone example, but the next step is then taking it into a journey, a user journey, where you're programming multiple messages across email, push, whatever, in-app messages for the person to see over a course of time. Same goes for email marketing. There's just some examples of some things we were running throughout the World Cup. Again, defining the segment and choosing what they're going to receive over time. We had a lot of retail activations going on around the Cyber Monday and Black Friday sales, man of the match promos, and then things that are more marketing or general marketing, like what you should know before an important match. Like we had a bunch of watch parties that we were trying to get in front of people and fans attending. So then again, just some visuals of what we're able to create within Braze. And then, looking behind the curtain one more time at Braze, this is our basically user journey orchestration. I believe these are called canvases within Braze. And again, defining a segment. In this case, it's our insiders welcome journey. So you sign up, and then we're taking you on a step-by-step marketing journey, right? Where over the course of a week, you're getting different messages that tell you, here's what you get as an insider. All your perks and benefits, and some other things that you might want to do, like downloading the app. And then after literally 12 months, your subscription is up for renewal, right? And so we need to do a lot of messaging around, in the next 30 days, your auto renewal will kick in. If you want to opt out, you can do that, right? So this is how that happens. It's point and click, drag and drop, get your segments in, configure your messages, and then script it out in the way that you feel is going to be the most impactful. And then looking at analytics afterwards to see what's working and what's not. And then business intelligence. I think this is the last principle I'm gonna talk about, but a really important one. You talk about everything you want to know about our customer. This one's looking at insiders specifically. So geographically, where are they located, zooming in and out. We use this map a lot around event planning and seeing how far people are traveling to our games. We don't have a home stadium. We travel around the world, and we host games here in the United States where we're looking at economic impact, where people are traveling from all across the country, or where we might want to host a pre-game event within the city. Where do we feel like most people are going to be coming from? Tracking insiders over time is what you see on the top left there, breaking it out by segment and seeing growth over time. You see that there's a upward right line there for just about all of our segments, which is really positive. And then down below is our renewals report that tells us insiders that are up for renewal very soon, and who might be most likely to lapse or renew, and allows our development team, our fundraising team, to decide, do they want to have some one-to-one contact with some of these people if they're a really important donor or contributor, or maybe put out a one-to-some marketing message, again via Braze, where we're giving them some special offer or special messaging. And then business intelligence. I guess this is our second slide on business intelligence. This is just a more expanded renewals report on insiders, looking at churn rate over time. This is a big one. When we went into this project in 2018, our legacy supporters program wasn't known as insiders. We rebranded it when we relaunched it, but that program basically had a churn rate that was flipped. It was 87% of the people were actually opting out after the 12 months, and we've been able to flip that on its head, where nearly 90% of the people are renewing year after year. So that equates to huge impact to the business and allows us to drive the sport forward in a real way. So I think that's it as far as visuals. Dot, I'm going to throw it back to you.
Sure. Thank you.
Again, we see those customers need those technology platforms that are flexible enough, right? And that are architected from the ground up to support new channels as they come up, as well as ingest data from multiple sources to provide that relevant and personalized messaging.
That's great. Thank you so much for your answer. That makes so much sense. And lastly, I've got a question for Ross. What are the tips you can share with our audience today about setting up for success?
Yeah, I get asked about CDPs a lot, and implementing and choosing which one and how to do it correctly. We had a lot of fits and starts when we went through the early process and actually ended up switching from one provider to another. So there are a lot of landmines along the way. The one thing I consistently tell people is to think about their internal resourcing. And particularly with Treasure Data. One of the reasons we chose Treasure Data is because it truly is like a development platform where you can build software within it, on top of it, to solve any of your use cases, right? It's basically an open platform in that way. Whatever integration you need, whatever kind of identity resolution, and however you want to sort that, it allows you to do that and literally write code within the platform to solve. On the flip side of that, it means that you've got a lot of custom workflows and services that you're going to have to manage, right? And so I think it's really important for Treasure Data customers to have a consistent resource that is owning the CDP, just like any other product in your stack, any other piece of software that you build. Even though Treasure Data is a SaaS product, I would treat it more as something that you've built yourself, with some kind of technical product manager or a data engineer who is accountable and responsible for everything that you've built within it, why you've built it, and how to develop off it moving forward. Otherwise, if you're relying solely on a customer success team or an engineering success team, which Treasure has, and they're great and we love working with them, but it's hard to have efficient processes and correct, decision records and documentation, if you're solely relying on a vendor to do that stuff. So I would say have some kind of resource internally who you can rely on to provide that consistency. So that's the big one.
Great. Thank you.